WWE has a pretty serious problem on their hands. A question that we're starting to answer, a question we're not clear that we have the exact answer for, but let's get into it. When, if it indeed happened, did the Bloodline peak? And when did it start to fizzle out? And can it be turned around and once again reignited as a really hot storyline? So what exactly is going on? And let's get into the history of Roman Reigns, filled with hubris, believing in his own BS while making his entire family of Jimmy and Jay, Solo, Sikoa, and the wise man Paul Heyman all be under his master plan for power tripping over WWE. Did it start a bad turn at SummerSlam when cousin faced cousin in a head-scratching ending? Yeah, more on that. We'll touch on that within this video. In retrospect, though, it may have peaked, reaching its apex at some point earlier in 2023 at WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles. Sami Zayn, a great supporting character, a really important figure, a guy who just wanted to find some sense of belonging. He wanted to be Usi, he wanted to be an honorary Us, and then he was rejected. Oh, the fans rallied behind him. The keyboard warriors were getting fickle in 2022, saying the Bloodline had run cold, but Sami Zayn is the one who got those same boo birds chirping their acceptance of him as an endearing protagonist in this pack of manipulated antagonists under Roman's rule. Zayn turned out to be such a big hit with the fans. They were very vocal, calling for WWE to change their plans and have Sami Zayn dethrone Roman instead of Cody Rhodes, which is what sort of was the assumption going into WrestleMania this year. Yeah, remember the magical crowd reactions in Montreal, Quebec? That crowd solidly behind their hometown hero when someone helped interfere to help Roman win a match. Yeah, Elimination Chamber. It was something else. Despite him not becoming the undisputed Universal Champion, the story still had a happy ending for Sami when he once again reunited with Kevin Owens to headline Night 1 of WrestleMania 39 and dethrone the Usos, becoming the tag team champions of the world and ending a very long title reign. It was something very special. The first time a tag team match main evented a WrestleMania in many, many years. What, like since the first WrestleMania? Yeah, and a month after that, he confirmed his role in the whole Bloodline situation was more or less finished, saying, "Sometimes the hidden laughter or the clear chemistry between the performers on screen and all that, it was just kind of weird lightning in a bottle. Perfect stars aligning for these variables to create this thing. So many things went into creating something that just felt a bit special. So it would be very hard to recreate, but it's done more or less. I'm glad I got to do it." Everything he said explains why the Bloodline story reached the peak it did when he was around, or at least if you thought that was the peak. We'll find out which was the peak of this whole Bloodline thing. While there's no way of really confirming it now, the Sami Zayn portion of the Bloodline seems wrapped up. And maybe that was the best part, depending on who you ask. But there's a whole evolution of the brothers and the cousins having some issues. The Bloodline was still running hot out of Mania, with Roman Reigns still ruling, not allowing Cody Rhodes to finish his family's story and fulfill his father's unfinished legacy of winning the championship for his family. Yes, the family-fueled drama continued, with Reigns squeezing out of SoFi Stadium with the title and the assistance of his family that he needed to keep his grip on the crown. That was another highly contested finish of a WrestleMania match, but obviously the numbers didn't lie. WWE was about to be merging with Endeavor and UFC, so maybe keeping the title on Roman was the way to go. With the Usos no longer draped in gold, their ego-tripping cousin, Roman demanded that they reassert their dominance for the Bloodline and had him and Solo Sikoa, yes, the Usos' little brother, who's not that little, tag team challenge against the now champions Sami and Kevin Owens at Night of Champions. Yes, Roman wanted even more championship belts. The Bloodline story was still red hot here. Maybe it peaked there, right? It got hotter when Jimmy Uso shouted he did what he should have done a long time ago at the end of Night of Champions, costing Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa the tag team titles. Yes, this time someone interfered to keep Roman from winning a match. Of course, this left Jey Uso in disbelief. Why did his brother do this? The drama was literally kicking off the screen. Yeah, they didn't lose us there. Maybe the peak of the Bloodline was when we got all of the Anawahis in one big main event, pitting blood versus blood. The Usos, Jimmy and Jey versus Reigns and Solo at Money in the Bank in London. It was truly built for years and delivered one of the biggest moments of the year. Roman Reigns, the most protected on a pedestal star in all of wrestling, who had not been pinned or submitted for years, was pinned. He was a mortal man. The Usos pinned Roman and it was a shocker. Yeah, so maybe that was enough of the Bloodline? Yeah, well, like one of those ongoing Saturday Night Live sketches, it's gonna keep going until maybe the laughs aren't there. Yeah, we got a Wayne's World too, and it was excellent. So yeah, they still had a lot of the masses who wanted more of the Bloodline. But maybe things really went south at SummerSlam when Roman Reigns defended the undisputed WWE Universal Championship against a motivated Jey Uso, his own cousin, in the main event in Detroit. All of the motivation, all of the emotions were there, and just to give you a recap in case you missed it, his brother Jimmy Uso, who broke up the Bloodline, was the one who cost his brother Jey Uso the title. Yeah, it is easily the most disputed ending of a WWE pay-per-view this year. I would say that is not indeed Usi. How had the Oos juice run dry? Come on, Jimmy and Jey were supposed to be down since day one. I would say they're down and out since that happened at SummerSlam. It made no sense. It was yo-yoing himself back into the good graces of Roman for no apparent reason. Now, over a month removed from the still debated ending, did WWE work up so much investment into this story and the players in it, and trying to split off Jimmy and Jey and do single superstars while still maintaining the villainy of Roman Reigns as the top dog? Yeah, it's a lot to pull off with a lot of moving pieces. Let's look where things are right now and how WWE could possibly make this all Usi once again. It seems like the plan is in place for Jimmy versus Jey at WrestleMania 40. Yes, brother versus brother in the city of brotherly love. How ironic. Jey went on the record with Sportskeeda years ago saying that the brothers want that match. They want their Owen versus Brett moment, and obviously the relationship between them is easy to play up. It sort of writes itself, but it's still got this confusing funk on it right now as it stands in 2023. We're still thinking of that ending from SummerSlam, aren't we? While things seem to be working out for Jey Uso, who now has a whole new set of opponents and new stories waiting for him on Monday Night Raw, Jimmy is stuck on SmackDown trying to get his way back into the Bloodline after breaking it apart in the first place. Yeah, he's reapplying for the job he quit. He's involved with his other brother, Solo Sikoa, and it really still feels like they're passing time until Roman Reigns comes back so that the story can resume. That's another thing. Not having Roman Reigns on screen every week in this story where he's the pivotal player in the whole thing is getting even more tiresome for some in the audience. It's just asking too much to keep fans in a present storyline when the top player isn't that present week to week. Sometimes perception becomes reality, and we haven't even seen what Jey Uso is really going to get into on Monday Night Raw, but that possibility seems more exciting than what we're actually getting with Jimmy on SmackDown. And this isn't to say that the idea of brother versus brother that we're gonna get to isn't gonna be exciting, but is this enough to tide us over until we get there? Patience, I know. We're just sounding this all off for all the fickle fans out there. But seeing how things have gotten off on such a bad start for Jimmy by himself away from Jey, it's clear that this isn't exactly what WWE wanted, but the way we're working with it as it is, right? Having a part-time champion is beginning to hurt SmackDown, and even when Roman Reigns does return, what exactly is there left for him to do? He's beaten a lot of other people. Who are the challengers he can face right now? What are the compelling storylines you can will him into? And who's going to feel like they could maybe beat him for the title when they aren't going to beat him for the title? Can we do that again? And can Roman win a match without someone interfering? That's a question we have to start asking too. Since the endgame appears to be a rematch against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania based on various reports, we're essentially filling time until then, or we're just waiting to see what WWE is going to do next, and we have to be a little patient. There's a feud against Solo Sikoa there, if you want to keep this whole family members turning on family members thing. In short, the Bloodline story is now dealing with the problems of living up to the expectations it's created. Compare all of this to the first 2 years of Roman Reigns' title reign and everything we've seen in the past with Bloodline, frequently facing different top-level opponents. Who gets fed to the Roman Reigns get someone to help him win a title match machine this time? Yeah, we're all starting to ask ourselves that. He has certainly earned the right to go part-time. He's Roman Reigns, it makes him much more of an attraction, but it does make it challenging to do week-to-week television at this rate in 2023. While Roman Reigns' history-making run as Universal Champion will be looked at as a big success, it serves as a reminder that the last 3 years in the modern era of media is a long time with one guy holding a championship. The new weekly TV shows constantly flow with clips of social media and the debate online. The rate at which fans consume WWE now is way higher than it was 10 or even 20 years ago. So sustaining this Roman Reigns in this position costs a lot of weekly players, a lot of creative resources. Retrospect, that makes sense, but does it make a lot of magical sense moving forward? We're long removed from the days of Bruno Sammartino holding a WWE World title for years. While likely his title will never be broken in terms of a record, even back then, superstars had only a fraction of exposure that they do today. It's a lot easier to be said than done to sustain a storyline for this long, and it's become even more difficult when you consider the fact that WWE is now a content-producing behemoth. You can watch it nearly 24/7 in hundreds of countries and regions around the world. Can Roman Reigns and WWE once again reignite everyone from casuals to diehard fans to get reeled into what he's doing with the WWE Universal Championship and his family? Can the Bloodline run hot again? What do you think about the current state of the Bloodline and all the different players in it? Sound off in the comments below and check out our other videos about members of the Bloodline here.